Hi everybody, I'm going to talk to you today about how some aliens travel through the galaxy. Now, I believe that there are a number of different techniques that different groups use, but I've been contacted by people who have either seen themselves in the sky or have seen on TV, on YouTube, etc., some spaceships that seem to appear out of nowhere, and then as they travel round, they kind of pulse and jump about, then they can instantly disappear and reappear somewhere else. And they ask me how it's done. And it's actually not that difficult. It's a branch of science that I think that the average scientific person has not yet discovered, but I'm pretty sure the black ops people know all about it, but it's actually not that difficult, and I'd like to try and explain it. First of all, I want to say that if you see a spaceship that's travelling smoothly through the sky, the chances are, I believe, that that is a man-made one. I don't know how many countries have actually got flying saucers. They don't call them that anymore. Well, it doesn't really matter what they call it. Alien visitation craft. Anyway, I know the Americans have got flying saucers, and they tend, I believe, to move fairly slowly because they're using a different technology than what the aliens use that I'm going to talk about now. Now, we're going to go a little bit down the rabbit hole, which is why I'm going to use my little white rabbit friend as an example. Okay, now, if you are sat in front of a computer screen watching this video, although you may not know it, you have a unique frequency about you. You're actually vibrating, and you have this resonant frequency that is totally unique to you. If you've got a friend sitting next to you, that person would also have a unique frequency, but it will be slightly different from yours. Okay, so hold in your mind the fact that you vibrate at a particular frequency. Now, this is going to be a little bit difficult to understand because every point in the galaxy, here on Earth and throughout all the galaxy, every single point has a unique frequency to it also. Which means that where you're sitting, let's assume you're sitting on a chair of some sort, a bench or a chair or whatever, and you're looking at me talking to you on this screen. There are two frequencies going on. One is your resonant frequency, and the other is the frequency of the spot where you're sitting. And you can't exist without both of those frequencies. Those two frequencies add up because your resonant frequency, you can understand that your body is vibrating at a particular rate, as does everything. Everything is made of vibration. But it's more difficult to realize the spot where you are also vibrates, and that you need, in order for you to exist, you need those two frequencies. That's a bit difficult to understand, but if you think about it for a moment, you have to be somewhere. If you weren't anywhere, you wouldn't exist, so you have to be somewhere. So you need these two frequencies, and they add up. Call it A plus B equals C, and the fact that you are sitting in front of a screen watching me in a particular spot is the result of those two frequencies. Okay, now if you move an inch to your left or an inch to your right, the frequency changes, because the frequency of that new spot is not the same as the frequency of the old spot. So once again, for you to move an inch to your left or to your right, you need to add up the two frequencies, A plus a new B, which will give you a new C. Can you understand that? It's quite simple, really. Now, and when you think about it, so why should I disappear and when you think about it, if I use my little friend here, say hello. If I use my little friend here, if I move him there, he's disappeared from here, hasn't he? He was here. I'll keep hitting the microphone, I'm sorry. He was here, he moves to there, and he's no longer here. You haven't got two. So you can understand that although this has a resonant frequency, the spot where he is here also has a resonant frequency. And if I move him, he is now in a new resonant frequency of his resonant frequency hasn't altered, but the spot where he is a different frequency. So it's actually, I won't get too complicated, but you could actually consider it almost to be a different rabbit, because his frequency hasn't changed, but the overall concept of the A plus B that equals C there, and the A plus B, which equals A plus a new B, which equals a new C here, excuse me, is not the same. Excuse me, I've sort of complicated it a bit, but can you understand that you, all the time, you need these two frequencies, okay? Now, let me put him down. I don't think we need him anymore. Oh, put him up here, okay, he can survey us. Now, what does that mean as far as space travel is concerned? Well, look at it this way. Imagine that there's a group of aliens living in the etheric realm round a planet somewhere, several light years away, and they know, well, while they're in the etheric world, they could travel differently. So I'm going to alter it slightly. Imagine that they then make a spaceship and bring it down into the real 3D world of that's around their planet. So they would appear on their planet as a 3D object. And then if they know the resonant frequency of their spaceship and the resonant frequency of the spot where they are in the 3D world of their planet, and they also know the resonant frequency, let's say your backyard, okay? Just for example, I hope they don't appear in your backyard, but let's just imagine them. If they know the resonant frequency of your backyard, all they've got to do is add up the frequency of their spaceship and the frequency of where they are there. That enables them to exist in that spot. And then, using the same resonant frequency of their spaceship, which doesn't alter, but adding to it the resonant frequency of your backyard, they add those together. As I'll explain it once again, as we did with the little rabbit sort of thing. If you've got an A frequency, which is the spaceship, a B frequency, which is the spot where they are on their planet, and then they add up A, the frequency of their spaceship, and the new B of the place of your backyard, that gives them a C here and a new C there. Now, if they bombard their ship with that new frequency, no matter where they are in the galaxy, they're going to disappear from that spot and reappear instantly in your backyard. They can't do anything else, because once you put the frequency of the spaceship and the spot in your backyard where they want to appear, the two have to come together, and the spaceship can no longer exist in that reality and has to appear in your backyard. And that is how they travel these vast distances instantly. It's just done through vibration. Now, you've heard scientists say, oh, aliens can't exist because there's no means that they could travel from wherever they are, Alpha Centauri or wherever the Pleiades, light years away. There's no way they could travel there and get here. But that's how it's done. It's just quite simply that they take the resonant frequency of their spaceship plus the resonant frequency of where they are, and they don't need that second bit anymore. They take, once again, they add on to the resonant frequency of their spaceship the resonant frequency of where they want to appear here on Earth, and when they've added those together, they get a particular frequency which corresponds to this point here, and they suddenly disappear from that point and reappear just as quickly here. Okay, it's instant. Now, this is why I mentioned right at the beginning that if you see anything either on YouTube or on actually see it in the sky, and it's either pulsing or in the case of the one that I saw a couple of years ago now, it was actually hopping like this. That apparently is a real alien spaceship. The man-made ones use a different technology and they move smoothly. Now, the way that the one that I saw, it was travelling quite slowly, very slowly in fact. And so what they were doing, they were calculating, they knew the resonant frequency of their spaceship, they were calculating the resonant frequency of this little spot here, and they jumped to that spot. Then they'd calculate the next bit, and they jumped there, and so on, and which is why I saw it hopping across the sky like that. Okay, now, quite often you'll see, and I'm repeating a bit, you'll see on YouTube these flying saucers, and they kind of pulse and morph as they're doing it. Well, that's part of that technology, that you get the impression that they're sort of moving smoothly, but they're not really. They're kind of pulsing and jumping a bit, but for some reason it seems to be a bit difficult for cameras to pick it up because they're also surrounded by all sorts of weird force fields that makes seeing what's really going on a bit more difficult. Okay, so I thought I'd explain that because I had quite a number of people question me about it. It's just quite simply, and I repeat, everything has a resonant frequency. Every spot in the galaxy also has a unique frequency, and the fact that things can exist is the result of those two frequencies. If you change the frequency of the spot where you are, you cease to exist in that spot, and you reappear in the spot that is the result of your resonant frequency plus the resonant frequency of the new place that you calculated and bombarded the vehicle or yourself or whatever, bombarded it with it, and baff, you appear somewhere else. Okay, there are other techniques for completely disappearing and reappearing somewhere else. It can be done through esoteric methods, spiritual methods, but that's a different story. I wanted to explain this one to you. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me. I'm always a bit concerned that I blather on a bit and don't explain things very well, but I do the best because these are actually not easy things to explain simply. Okay, thank you very much once again for listening to me, and I'll speak to you again another day. Bye.